In this video, we'll take a close look at the SLK55 AMG from the R171 generation. Then I will discuss what SLK55 buyers should look out for in today's market. The second generation SLK replaced the R170, which came out of the late 1990s. The new SLK was bold, as it took styling cues from the SLR McLaren. These cars hit the market as 2005 models, first produced in late 2004, like this example here. Power comes from the classic M113 engine, producing 355 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. You can't go wrong with a simple V8 single overhead cam design. Power delivery is smooth throughout the rev range. The SLK55 has strong performance figures. It can run to 60 miles an hour in about 4.5 seconds and pass the quarter mile in less than 13 seconds. At the push of a button, the folding metal roof tucks away and you can really enjoy the sound of that 5.4-liter V8. This example has a secondary cat and resonator delete, and instead has an X-pipe that brings up the volume and really makes it fun to rip around in. The 7-speed transmission is reasonably fast and smooth, but doesn't rev match downshifts. The driving experience is pleasant. I wouldn't call it a true sports car, but it's pretty good. It weighs 1,540 kilograms or 3,400 pounds, which is not bad for a Mercedes. The steering is relatively light to my taste, and it's not as aggressive in its chassis setup compared to newer AMGs. Still, thanks to the short wheelbase, you can really toss the car around and the structure feels strong compared to, say, a CLK55 Cabriolet. As well, for a roadster, the airflow is well controlled and there isn't much buffeting in the interior. It's still as refined as you would expect for a Mercedes. The brakes are strong with 6-piston calipers up front, which provide plenty of stopping power for such a small car. These sold very well when they were new, and total production ran through to the end of 2010. 9,541 were made in total. The US MSRP was just over $60,000 in 2005. This example is a Japanese market car that's actually left-hand drive. There aren't that many differences to a North American model, with some subtle things like the small covers over the rear fender and the absence of the orange side markers. Now, the exterior styling has aged pretty well in my opinion. This design is nearly 22 years old and still looks nice. Obviously, the shape of the hood makes people call this car a baby SLR, and it's hard to deny. Despite being a small model in the lineup, they gave it the full-size oval exhaust outlets, which look great and sound even better. Equipped are the standard 18-inch 16-spoke wheels. Other AMG touches include the vents for the oil cooler on the front bumper. The interior is an interesting blend of very nice and not so nice. The SLK has good seats with that air scarf feature that blows hot air on the back of your head, which is useful when it's colder out with the roof down. The two-tone red seats contrast well with the silver paint here. The dashboard is just a plain-looking plastic panel, but to be fair, this was an entry-level model when it was new, so you can't expect it to be covered in leather. There were a few small changes over the years. For 2007, they added shifter paddles instead of buttons, and also changed the gauge cluster slightly. There was a facelift for 2009 models in North America, and it included subtle changes to the exterior styling, such as a new front bumper, new wheel designs, dark tinted headlight housings, and inside you got a new steering wheel. They removed the standard 6-piston brakes and only gave you 4-piston as standard, which was a little odd. Now, when it comes to optional extras, there were not that many available on the SLK. Of course, the air scarf, as mentioned before, was one of them. A navigation system with a larger display. Harman Kardon audio system. A digital climate control panel instead of the dials. Bi-xenon headlamps with heated washers. And at least for North America, these would be sold in various packages. Interesting that this Japanese market car has front and rear parking sensors which weren't offered in North America. The big package offering on the SLK was the P30 Performance package, which was introduced a little later on. This included an Alcantara and leather trim sport steering wheel, raised top speed limiter to 175 miles an hour, stiffer sport suspension, upgraded braking system with larger 360mm discs and 6-piston front calipers, very nice 18-inch two-piece wheels, and finally the interior was finished with a little bit of carbon fiber trim. The SLK also notably had the first Black Series model with 400 horsepower thanks to its upgraded exhaust manifolds. This Black Series featured racing bucket seats and carbon fiber door panels, not to mention flared fenders and stunning 19-inch wheels. The folding hardtop of the standard SLK was replaced with a fixed roof, reducing the car's weight. It was about 45 kilograms or 100 pounds lighter than the regular 55. It's commonly said that there were 100 made, but from the Mercedes archive, it actually says 120 were made from late 2006 to early 2007. So what is it like to own one of these? What should you look out for? The first thing that comes to mind is the hydraulic roof. As these cars age, the hydraulic seals in the mechanism can start to leak, but in general, the system is pretty solid. Other than that, the M113 engine is pretty bulletproof. It will have a few issues as they're over 20 years old now. Keep an eye out for oil leaks at the rear main seal and on the valve covers. As well, the seal on the front timing cover can leak, causing coolant and oil to mix. Now that's a part that's a few dollars, but the labor can be quite expensive for that one. The suspension control arm bushings and drive shaft flex discs may need to be changed at some point, as well as engine mounts and things like that, but that's usually at higher mileages. The 113 is about as reliable as it gets for a 20-plus-year-old engine, and it's not very stressed in a small car like the SLK. This car, shown here, is pretty much all original except for the already mentioned exhaust mods and the aftermarket rear lip spoiler. Overall, a very clean example with just over 50,000 kilometers. Overall, I like this car more than I expected to. It won me over as a good roadster that's fun to drive, makes good sounds, and is pretty easy to own. It's definitely something unique. When it comes to the market, there's a decent selection of low mileage cars because after all, these are small two-seaters that are made for enjoyment rather than practicality. You can get a great low mileage early car like this for about $20,000 US. And for the best possible ones with like 7,000 miles as we can see here, the price can rise to about $40,000. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I do think this is still one of the best bargains right now. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, take a look at my store. Link is in the description. If you want to see more Mercedes and AMG content, subscribe for more videos like this one.